November in Western Washington is really, really, really rainy. With no end in sight, we spent most of this month working on projects indoors. When we first moved in, this old fluorescent kitchen light worked most of the time, and then it started working only when it felt like it, and then it pretty much stopped feeling like it. So we had to replace that pretty quickly, and this is what we put in. While we were at it, Charlie also took out some of the old ceiling fans that were in the living room and replaced them with some farmhouse lights. That popcorn ceiling is on the list, don't worry. While we were pulling off some trim to look at fitting in our new fridge, which was just a tad too big for the space, we noticed there was some old original shiplap in the walls. How could a girl get so lucky? Ever since watching the Elliott Homestead on YouTube, I've dreamed of having old original shiplap walls like she has in her kitchen. So as soon as I saw that, I knew I had to get to work, pulling off paneling, sheetrock, layers and layers of wallpaper, and scraping it clean. The process of pulling off all of this old decoration was really fun in that we got to see all the layers of decoration and personality that this house has had over the years. But the process of pulling it all off was really neat because it felt like pulling off all this old, crusty, outdated cover-up to convince this beautiful old lady house with all her scars and cracks and the marks of her life to just celebrate the beauty of what she always has been instead of covering up with all this wallpaper and sheetrock and paint, and instead to celebrate those cracks and scars by filling them in with some joint compound to lighten up the area and really give it a cabiny, rustic feel, and even fill in some of those cracks and just make them stand out. Let's celebrate them.
Forgive the lighting in this shot. There's just no way the way things are set up right now, and where I had to move the fridge so you could even see this wall, it's blocking all the natural light. It's just gonna be how it is. It's been about a week since I last filmed on this particular project, and I've spent most of that scraping paper, filling in joint compound, and I finally got this whole area done. So this is the little alcove where our stove and fridge are. And there's a lot of things that I'm really excited about with being done with this project, because getting this done means that we can swap the fridge and the stove, which I've been wanting to do. We can put in a new fridge that we picked up that was about 1/2 inch too wide for the space before I removed the paneling. And we can hang up my spice rack, which has been under the cupboards over on the counter. Up next to the stove, we can also put up a shelf to put oil and salt and pepper on. And we can, since we moved the spice rack from there, put our microwave under those cupboards, tuck it away, and get it off the fridge, which has been just one of those little annoyances. So I'm looking forward to getting all those things done. This project has definitely got me into just what I feel like every home renovation person says, which is, man, projects just take way longer than you expect that they will. And having the vision of what I want for this house and seeing it in my own head and just being so excited to make it be reality, boy, is it a practice in patience. Especially since Charlie and I both have full-time jobs aside from this. This is just something we're sneaking in. In between and when we can. So it's been a really fun project. I'm looking forward to doing more. I love the way it turned out. Our cat has a lot to say this morning. I love the way it turned out, and I'm looking forward to showing you guys the finished product. And today, the very last thing I need to do on this before we can get all those other fun things done is coat this whole area in a couple layers of polyurethane to protect the walls, especially since we're going to be cooking right here, but this is old, raw, rough wood. So we just want to make sure we give it a good coat and keep it safe and protect it from stains and things like that. And then we can get going. We've finally got a dry few hours here, so we're going to work on a couple of outside projects today. The first of which is going to be our 3-bin compost system. I want to get this established as soon as possible because compost is gardener gold, and it's a great way to just reduce your overall waste to break down into awesome fertilizer for the gardens. So I want to get this set up as soon as I can, and we're going to try a 3-bin system, which is something I've always wanted to have, and that involves having 3 different bins with 3 different purposes. For one that you're currently adding to that's more or less broken down stuff, one that is working on breaking down that you're turning every so often, and one that eventually, once we get it established, will be having finished compost in it that we can take from to use on the gardens. So we're just going to use some pallets that we got from a local business that was getting rid of them, and a handful of T-posts. So it takes 5 pallets and 10 T-posts to make this system that we're doing. We have the T-posts already, so thankfully this is a free project and it should just take a few minutes.
Unfortunately, I lost the clip of us setting up the first bit of this compost system, but it's very simple and you can watch us put in the last pallet here. We drove in 2 T-posts, measured them to make sure that they were the width of one of our pallets, and slid a pallet over top for each one.
Okay, so I am way too visual to plan out a project without drawing it out because I clearly miscounted and we had enough pallets and T-posts for 2 bays, not 3. So if you want a 3-bay compost, you're gonna need 7 pallets and 14 T-posts. But for now, we've got 2 bays. That's plenty to get us started. We can always add on the others later. But yeah, I mean, they're different sizes. It's not perfect, but it's just for scraps and waste to break down into lovely fertilized dirt, so we're not too concerned about it.
When we first moved in, our living room had this fireplace insert, which we always knew we would want to replace, but that was expedited by the delay in shipping the ductless heating and air system we were hoping to put in the house for heating this winter. The wood stove heats and holds in heat much better than a fireplace does. Charlie found this one on OfferUp, so we ran a safe chimney liner through our chimney to prevent building up of creosote and chimney fires, and hooked it up to this beautiful wood stove insert. We still need to have some pieces of trim cut to fill in the gaps around the stove, but I absolutely love it. I think it's just beautiful.
Now that I'm all covered in soot, and Charlie's gonna keep working on the details of the wood stove, I'm gonna keep working on the project of revealing more of this gorgeous shiplap. So we're gonna complete parts of the kitchen and also move into the living room. And I'm gonna work on today just pulling off the paneling and wallpaper and get the old stuff gone because my parents suggested the process of scraping all the wallpaper off last time just was very, very time consuming. And so my parents suggested maybe that we rent a wallpaper steamer and do it all kind of in one shot that way. So I think we're gonna try and get all the paneling and everything off and then take care of it all in one day that way. So I'll show you what I'm working on today. So I'm gonna continue on this wall and around these gorgeous cabinets with all those yummy things to eat all winter. Isn't that awesome? So what we're gonna do here to keep this kitchen from getting too dark, oh, I have to show you guys this. Look at this delightful relic of the 1970s. Isn't that fabulous? its days are numbered. I'm about to take it off here. One of our concerns with this shiplap is just because all of the wood being exposed is kind of dark. And so I'm wanting to be attentive to balancing that wood with some lighter, brighter colors, and just to balance everything and so it doesn't get too dark. So what we're gonna do on this wall is pull off all of this sheetrock paneling and leave this paneling from here down and actually put a faux kind of wainscoting look here and paint all of this a lighter color, probably cream, across this wall just to help provide some light and dark balance there. But we'll have the shiplap continue down through here and across underneath this cabinet. So if I'm able to get all of that paneling off today, then I'm gonna continue on into this dark room, which is currently our utility room. And you can see our little coffee bar on an antique icebox that was my first big girl antique purchase that I love it so much. Can't give you a really good shot of it right here at this angle, but this dark paneling continues till we get to this window and come around to these cabinets with our washer and dryer, which currently have a bunch of junk because I have everything misplaced so we can work in here. So I'm gonna try to get the paneling off of this room also today. And if I'm really rocking and rolling, I will continue on into the living room, but this would be a good goal for today. As I've dug into this, there's this area of where the shiplap is discolored. You can see the line right here, where the shiplap itself becomes this sort of bleached out color compared to like this more orangey color. So, and you can see there's like, it does look like maybe some kind of glue discolored it. So that's gonna be pretty interesting to navigate because I did earlier on try sanding these boards and it really does change their color and their look also. So I'd like to avoid sanding it, but may have to do that if this is all so discolored.
In each of these rooms, whenever we're pulling off paneling, it's kind of a roulette because we don't know exactly what's underneath it. We're always hoping for the original shiplap, but you never know what you're gonna find. Here, I pulled off the paneling and found sheetrock, plywood, and underneath there are just the posts and what the siding is mounted on outside. So this particular wall does not have any shiplap. Of course, you have to dig a hole through all of this to find that out. So now we have a little bit of a hole here, and we're gonna have to come up with an alternate plan for this room. We'll come back to this and sort that out. But in the meantime, I'm so glad to get that paneling out of there because this room is so much brighter without it. Under one wall in our living room, we found the entire wall was covered with a 1933 newspaper. We found ads for hole-proof hosiery, a gossip column for a small town in Western Washington listing who went to whose house to play pinochle or bridge the past weekend, an article about the changing nutritional composition of milk, which I found particularly interesting, an ad for dry cleaning where you can get a men's suit cleaned and pressed for only 60 cents. And my all-time favorite, as a diehard fan of I Love Lucy, this Help for Tired Wives ad had such strong Vitamita Vegemin vibes, I could hardly stand it. Today is a great day because, why, Charlie?
Dishwasher.
Yay! We
haven't
had a dishwasher the entire time we've lived here, and it was on back order, as many things are. But we finally have it! Yay! So since this kitchen doesn't currently have a space for a dishwasher, we have left this cabinet empty, and we'll be putting that dishwasher in right here. More specifically, Charlie will be putting that dishwasher in right there. I do not have the skills. This video transition makes it look like this was a super easy job, but let me promise you it was not. Charlie spent several days hacking the cabinet out of there. He had to wire in the power, plumb in the plumbing, and work hard at marrying the old plumbing with the new dishwasher. This dishwasher is 100% a labor of love, and I am so appreciative. I owe my parents a huge thank you for suggesting renting a wallpaper steamer to clean the wallpaper off these walls. I had so much to cover, and for a $35 one-day rental, I managed to get all of it done, whereas that small alcove in the kitchen took me several days of soaking by hand with a rag and scraping. This was a brilliant idea. Thank you, Mom and Dad. So after just a few hours, days, and weeks of prying, scraping, steaming, a little bit of paint, and some drapes, I am so happy with the way our living room wall turned out. There's lots more work to be done. There's still pieces of trim leaning up in almost every corner. I want to fill in all these cracks with joint compound as I did in the kitchen. But for now, with a cozy fire and a tree just waiting to be decorated, we are ready to dive headfirst into the Christmas season and to whatever adventure lies ahead.